On a cold February morning in 1999, the police received a chilling missing persons report. Lindsay Harper, a 21-year-old mother of two, had vanished without a trace. Her husband, Ethan Harper, claimed she had abandoned him and their children to run away with another man. But Lindsay's family refused to believe this grim tale. They knew their daughter, the vibrant, cheerful young woman with a dazzling smile and dreams of a better life, would never simply walk away from her children. Born in 1977 in a quiet English town, Lindsay was the youngest of 6 siblings. Raised by her devoted parents, Margaret and David, she was known for her warmth and quiet strength. Her mother described her as friendly yet reserved, always carrying an upbeat spirit even in difficult times. Lindsay was an independent soul, a typical teenager who loved music, makeup, and hanging out with friends, but she stood apart in her aspirations. She dreamed of becoming a recruiter, a job she hoped would one day lead her out of the confines of her troubled home life. When Lindsay was 17, an unexpected pregnancy forced her to put her dreams on hold. The father was her first boyfriend, but their relationship ended early in the pregnancy. Soon after, Lindsay met Ethan Harper, a man 3 years her senior, who worked as a casino croupier. Ethan wasn't handsome by conventional standards, but his charm was undeniable. He swept Lindsay off her feet, promising a future filled with love and security. Something Lindsay desperately craved. Their whirlwind romance led to a rapid engagement and marriage within just weeks. Despite the doubts from Lindsay's family, they supported her happiness. But from the start, trouble shadowed their union. At the wedding reception itself, Ethan's simmering anger surfaced in tense arguments, alarming Lindsay's father. 6 weeks after the wedding, Lindsay gave birth to their daughter, Rose, and seemed to find some joy in motherhood. Yet behind closed doors, Ethan's true nature began to reveal itself. As the weeks turned into months, the fragile peace in Lindsay's new life began to crumble. Ethan Harper's charming facade peeled away to reveal a darker truth. Friends and family soon learned that behind closed doors, Ethan was controlling and abusive, a man consumed by jealousy and rage. Lindsay confided in her sister Emily and close friends about the fear that gripped her, and the cruel beatings that left her bruised and broken. Ethan's infidelities only deepened the wounds. He cheated repeatedly, shamelessly flaunting his betrayals, while blaming Lindsay for every crack in their marriage. When Lindsay discovered she was pregnant again, the weight of her torment grew heavier, fearing the dangers of another child. Born into such a toxic home, she made the painful decision to terminate the pregnancy. Ethan's fury was unleashed in violent outbursts that left Lindsay fighting for her life. Despite the abuse, Lindsay clung to hope. Each time Ethan disappeared after an argument, she believed his promises to change, a brief respite filled with affection and false smiles. But the cycle of violence only intensified. One afternoon, while 4 months pregnant, Lindsay returned to their home to find it ravaged, broken doors, shattered windows, and a television smashed to pieces. Homeless and terrified, Lindsay's pleas for help grew louder. Her family was horrified but helpless to intervene fully. Lindsay's strength was her children, little Rose and baby Jack, the only anchors in her stormy world. She moved them to a new home designed to shield them from the chaos, a sanctuary of quiet and play, where she tried to rebuild their shattered lives. But the past would not let go so easily. Lindsay's fragile sanctuary soon began to crack under the weight of past shadows. Even in her new home, the scars of her torment lingered, invisible yet suffocating. Ethan's presence haunted her thoughts like a relentless ghost, stalking her every move through whispered threats and cold silences. His demands grew more urgent as he insisted on seeing his children, his anger simmering beneath a veneer of false concern. With Jack's first birthday approaching, Lindsay's resolve wavered. Against her better judgment, she agreed to let Ethan visit, desperate to avoid conflict but terrified of what might follow. Her family watched with growing dread, unable to understand why she risked re-engaging with the man who had shattered her life. When they found out, they distanced themselves, both out of hurt and fear of Ethan's wrath. Only her sister, Emily, remained a lifeline, offering quiet support and an open ear. One cold October evening, after a tense dinner together, Lindsay pleaded with Emily to help her escape Ethan's grip once and for all. Emily refused, wary of the dangers ahead. But Lindsay's desperation was clear. She needed a way out. Their final moments together at Lindsay's apartment were filled with unspoken fears, while Lindsay and Emily sat in the kitchen, dark gaze fixed on Emily from the living room couch, making her skin crawl. Before Emily left, Lindsay slipped her a note, a silent SOS, asking for help to break free from the nightmare. But help was slow to come. Lindsay's family was trapped by fear and uncertainty, unwilling to intervene directly. Meanwhile, Lindsay prepared to face the darkest chapter of her life, unaware that the walls closing in around her were closer than anyone. Imagine that the last days before Lindsay vanished were a twisted dance of fear, hope, and mounting tension. She visited her family, bringing her children along, trying to cling to a semblance of normalcy. Her laughter masked the dread lurking beneath the knowledge that the man she once loved was a danger she couldn't escape. On December 24th, Lindsay's mother reached out, hoping to see her grandchildren for Christmas, but there was no answer. Days passed with silence growing heavier. When her parents went to the couple's home, only Ethan showed up carrying gifts for the children, but no sign of Lindsay. He told them she was preparing to move away, but something felt off. The police were called on February 5, 1999. Lindsay was officially missing. Ethan's story: she had left him and their children without warning, running away with another man. Yet everyone who knew Lindsay rejected this claim outright. She would never abandon her children. Investigators found Ethan's behavior suspicious. He never reported her missing. Yet he called the media, painting himself as a grieving husband abandoned without cause. His charm and constant smile in interviews struck many as rehearsed and unsettling. He enjoyed the spotlight while the truth remained buried in darkness. Weeks turned into months with no sign of Lindsay. The police searched the grounds, questioned friends and family, but all leads faded into dead ends. Meanwhile, Ethan's manipulation deepened. He forged Lindsay's signature to cash her social security checks, weaving lies to cover his tracks. Her family refused to believe she had left by choice. Her father, Peter, took it upon himself to scour the city, searching tirelessly for any sign of his daughter. Despite the growing despair, hope flickered faintly in his heart. As the investigation deepened, a darker reality emerged from beneath Ethan's polished facade. Lindsay's diaries revealed missed appointments she never intended to skip. There was a hair salon visit, a dentist checkup, and most chillingly, a meeting with a divorce attorney scheduled for December 15, 1998. But Lindsay never showed up. The day before, December 14th, Lindsay was last seen at the local post office. She had gone there seeking information about a lost welfare check. Police were convinced that after this errand, Lindsay returned home to confront Ethan. She wanted out. She wanted a divorce. Instead, she met a fatal fate. The confession that followed sent shockwaves through the community. Ethan broke his silence 36 hours after his arrest, admitting to killing Lindsay. The chilling details painted a grim picture. On that very day, he strangled her while their children were upstairs, snuffing out the life of the woman who had once filled his world with light. But the horror did not end there. In a sickening attempt to hide his crime, Ethan called his brother, Elliot, a butcher, to assist in disposing of the body. Armed with tools fit for a nightmare, hacksaw, hammer, screwdriver, and carpet knife, the two men dismembered Lindsay's remains, wrapping them in bags to shield the children from the grisly truth. Pieces of her were scattered across the city, hidden in shallow graves, railroad embankments, and dumpsters. Her torso was found near an amusement park, a haunting reminder of a life violently torn apart. Despite the brutality, Ethan maintained a disturbingly calm demeanor, even smiling through the media spotlight, earning the chilling nickname, the Smiling Killer. As the investigation deepened, a darker reality emerged from beneath Ethan's polished facade. Lindsay's diaries revealed missed appointments she never intended to skip. There was a hair salon visit, a dentist checkup, and, most chillingly, a meeting with a divorce attorney scheduled for December 15, 1998. But Lindsay never showed up. The day before, December 14th, Lindsay was last seen at the local post office. She had gone there seeking information about a lost welfare check. Police were convinced that after this errand, Lindsay returned home to confront Ethan. She wanted out. She wanted a divorce. Instead, she met a fatal fate. The confession that followed sent shockwaves through the community. Ethan broke his silence 36 hours after his arrest, admitting to killing Lindsay. The chilling details painted a grim picture. On that very day, he strangled her while their children were upstairs, snuffing out the life of the woman who had once filled his world with light. But the horror did not end there. In a sickening attempt to hide his crime, Ethan called his brother, Elliot, a butcher, to assist in disposing of the body. Armed with tools fit for a nightmare, hacksaw, hammer, screwdriver, and carpet knife, the two men dismembered Lindsay's remains, wrapping them in bags to shield the children from the grisly truth. Pieces of her were scattered across the city, hidden in shallow graves, railroad embankments, and dumpsters. Her torso was found near an amusement park, a haunting reminder of a life violently torn apart. Despite the brutality, Ethan maintained a disturbingly calm demeanor, even smiling through the media spotlight, earning the chilling nickname, the Smiling Killer. The courtroom was thick with tension as the trial of Ethan began in 2001. What once was a man who charmed his way through social circles now faced the full weight of justice. Despite initially confessing to the murder, Ethan changed. His plea to involuntary manslaughter, hoping to soften the blow. But the prosecutor, Andrew Eddies, painted a stark and unyielding picture. A man who had brutally ended the life of his wife, disregarding the innocence of their children and the sanctity of life itself. Andrew detailed the violent marriage, emphasizing Ethan's ruthless behavior and the calculated way he disposed of Lindsay's remains in scattered, desecrated places. To the public and the jury, Ethan was no longer a husband or father. He was a cruel criminal who reveled in the dark attention. One of the key witnesses was Detective Joe Sloan, who described Ethan's disturbing fascination with the media. During the investigation, Ethan sent Sloan a Christmas card, accompanied by a bottle of hair dye and a mocking note telling him to get rid of his grey hair to boost confidence. This chilling act revealed the depths of Ethan's cynicism and cruelty. When Judge Brian Lavon delivered the verdict, his words cut deep. He called Ethan a malicious cynic who manipulated the public and police alike. Acknowledging the assault on Lindsay was unintentional, but condemning the elaborate lies and media games that followed for 18 months. Ethan was found guilty of first-degree murder and sentenced to life in prison, with a possibility of parole after 17 years. As he left the courtroom, applause echoed, a rare moment where justice seemed to shine through the darkness. While Ethan's fate was sealed in the courtroom, a shadow loomed over the man who had helped him, his brother, Elliot. The defense argued that Elliot was caught in a terrible dilemma, torn between loyalty and the law. When Ethan called for help to hide Lindsay's body, Elliot was hesitant at first, torn between doing the right thing and protecting his own life and family. Fear was real. Ethan warned him that reporting the crime would land him behind bars and cost him custody of his children. The pressure was immense, and Elliot ultimately chose to assist in the grim task of concealing the remains. Despite this, the law did not turn a blind eye. Elliot was charged with complicity in the concealment of the body, and the court sentenced him to 7 years in prison. His involvement, though secondary, marked him forever, a brother bound by blood but trapped in the shadows of a monstrous crime. The weight of guilt and fear hung heavily over Elliot, a man whose life would be forever changed by the darkness of his brother's sins. The trial of Ethan was the final chapter in a horrifying saga that gripped the community and exposed the brutal truth behind Lindsay Wilson's disappearance. Despite Ethan's attempt to downgrade his confession to involuntary manslaughter, the court saw through his deception. The merciless violence with which he ended Lindsay's life, the callous disposal of her remains, and the emotional torment inflicted on their children and family left no room for leniency. The courtroom was tense as Judge Brian Lavon delivered his verdict. He described Ethan as a malicious cynic, a man who had manipulated the public and police alike, feigning sorrow while hiding his true nature. Sentenced to life in prison with a minimum of 17 years before parole eligibility, Ethan faced the full weight of justice. Applause erupted as he was led away, a grim end to a dark chapter. Meanwhile, Elliot's sentence to 7 years in prison underscored the deep wounds inflicted by family betrayal and fear. Both brothers' fates were forever intertwined with tragedy, a reminder of how violence and deception can destroy lives. Though justice was served, the memory of Lindsay Wilson lingered, a young woman whose dreams were shattered by a man she once loved. Her children were left to rebuild their lives in the shadow of loss and heartbreak.